What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and after 118 days, Spurs have won a game in the Premier League. It's been a long time coming. We finally got over the line, still in the relegation zone. Oh man, what an emotional up and down day yesterday. My heart couldn't take it at times. I was getting so stressed. If any of you guys were watching here on a watch along, you would have seen how stressed we were getting. Sim was up there at Molyneux. So let's get a on-the-ground review. How was it? Atmosphere sounded unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the fans in general yesterday, really, really supportive, really loud. I think throughout the whole game, even though I think we can all agree it wasn't like our best performance, we weren't playing Wolves away, we were really struggling. And to be fair, I think, you know, during the game, I was speaking to a few fans, I'm like, you know, we're not doing much, you know, nothing's really happening. But the fans, in terms of general support, they just kept singing throughout the whole game. No boos at half-time, none of that. I think the fans, you could sense, felt like if they just kept just giving their all, at some point, they'll get rewarded for it. Even though there was not much signs of it happening, there was a bit of a belief that if we just keep going, make sure we don't concede, and something will fall for us at that other end, because we know that Wolves are already relegated. How much fight do they have left in them? How are they going to lose their concentration? And near the end, exactly what happened. And I think wild celebrations for the goal. Obviously, it was a crazy moment when, as you say, in the ground, we knew kind of exactly what was happening with the other game. So we scored. Obviously, we knew West Ham winning at that time. Then when Everton scored, there was wild celebrations again in the away end, because it was a massive moment. For about 5 minutes, we're outside the relegation zone. Then all of a sudden, 4 minutes later, the Wolves fans erupted with the celebration. Like when nothing was going on, we're like, oh God, what's happened? And then everyone's checking their phone. West Ham have scored It had real final day vibes, you know, in final day when everyone's checking the scores of the other games and there's celebrations going on all over the pit, all over the place. It had real final day vibes, and that was absolutely gutting that West Ham scored right at the end. And so our win, as much as it does mean something, because it means we're not cut adrift, also doesn't mean as much as it could have if Everton held on. There's a few other things. Obviously, at the end of the game, all the players came over to the fans, and that was
proper passion at the end from the players.
Zerbi came over giving fist bumps. It was you could really see how much it meant to them at the end of the game.
So Van der Ven as well was very animated.
And as much as I think, you know, that win does come with a few caveats with the injuries that we picked up and the fact that West Ham won. You could just see the fact that we won our first game in 118 days and in 2026. I think there's a real weight lifted off the players' shoulders. I think you could see that, you could feel that when they came over at the end, and how relieved everyone was. And it's almost like when you wait so long for a win, that first one was never going to come easy. It was never going to be simple. And even though we're playing bottom of the league team who was already relegated, we made it hard for ourselves, but we got over the line. There was Xavi, obviously with the Xavi injury, we could see, I don't know how much of it was caught on camera, but obviously he went down in serious pain. He was down for about 5 minutes. He then gets back up, starts jogging around the side of the pitch. And then, he looked like he's about to come back on at one point.
It was all documented, yeah.
And then he obviously then goes down injured. It was, I think to be fair, they stripped off Bergvall very quickly as soon as he went down. But it was horrible. Let's
People are saying potential ACL injury or something like that.
I don't like to speculate on these things, but I really hope not.
Yeah, we all do. But I mean, it felt like everything was going against us again in terms of Wolves could have had a sending off, the injuries that we were getting, the way that Spurs were playing. It just felt like everything was going against us again. And then obviously I was seeing on the screen about because I was watching the West Ham game here as well, and the penalty that they should have got with the handball. And it's just like everything and anything is going against us. And you're just thinking, I'm watching the game just saying, this ain't going to be our day once again. It's just not going to be our day. West Ham go 1-0 up and you're thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is literally it. When are we going to get some luck? And it's just like, it felt like nothing was coming. Obviously, we score kind of out of nothing. And then a few minutes later, Everton score. And it really felt like that could have been that momentum shift that we really needed, didn't we? And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And we'll get into the relegation a bit later on in the stream and the nitty-gritties of it. But it's just a kick in the teeth, isn't it? That West Ham went up the other end and scored after everything that had happened, because that momentum shift for those few minutes, it just felt like finally something is going our way. And it was just gutting. Like, even that we won the game, I was just deflated at the final whistle. I know it's probably different from you guys in the stands because you're there and, you know, feeling the atmosphere firsthand. But for me, I was deflated at the final whistle just because of what happened at West Ham, mainly.
Yeah, I think it was bittersweet, definitely. I think most people inside the ground weren't thinking about West Ham at that moment. Everyone was aware West Ham won, but we weren't really thinking about it. It was more about just maybe because these fans have been going for the last 118 days or longer, obviously longer, but they've been going for the last 118 days and not seen a win. And so just the very face fact that we saw a win, you know, we could have been already relegated yesterday and we probably would have celebrated that victory, you know what I mean? Just because it means a lot.
Yeah, I get it.
Seeing a victory. And,
I get it.
We saw after the game, the fans were, you know, chanting outside the ground, and it was a
jubilant atmosphere.
It was a jubilant atmosphere. But I definitely think, I mean, you could maybe came across in my post-match video, like, it was definitely bittersweet for me. Just, I think more to be honest.
I watched your post-match video. You seemed absolutely buzzing, to be fair.
I think I said it was a weird feeling. Like, yeah. I mean, I was delighted, but it was bittersweet in the sense that, to be fair, for me, it wasn't actually the West Ham result that made it bittersweet. It was more the injuries that we got and what cost that's going to bring to us.
100%.
And I think with Xavi and Solanke both being out, we already know how short we are on the forward line. Our two players, I know that they weren't having great games, but regardless, they're two very important players for us. So for them to be missing the run-in is absolutely, if they are, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. It's gutting, it's massive. And now we're relying potentially on a front three of probably, you're thinking Milani, Tell and Richarlison, unless any surprises come. That's going to be our front three, and that's just, you know, you don't look at that front three thinking, you know, that's going to get us out of a relegation fight. We're going to have to somehow get through these next 4 games by hook or by crook, and it's going to be without even more quality than we had before, which is a scenario which seems very, very difficult to envisage, if I'm being honest. I think that was really what made it a bit bittersweet for me. But obviously West Ham winning as well. If we could have just finished outside the relegation zone for the day and really have that win, have reward for that win, I think that would have meant even more.
I think it would have been a momentum shift in this race, and now it's just kind of back to square one as we were, just with one less game, which, you know. But look, on the game, there's not really much to talk about. It was a game of very few moments and very few things happening. I actually thought Spurs once again started the game well. Started the game with a lot of energy. I thought Milani down the right-hand side was causing problems for the first 5 or however many minutes it was. I thought Solanke was causing a lot of problems as well for the opening stages. And then I kind of felt just like as the first half wore on, Spurs just like decreased in energy, decreased in intensity, and we just started giving Wolves a bit more hope in the game as the first half wore on. But, you know, Milani, again, like, so poor. Obviously, he got hooked off at half-time, but I mentioned he started the game well, and he did for the first 5 minutes or so, you know, causing problems down that right-hand side. But then just this stupid passing and under-hit passes and over-hit everything that he touched just went to shit after that. Like, the guy, I mean, the most frustrating thing about these injuries is now is that we're going to have to persist with Milani. Like, I felt something switched in De Zerbi at half-time where he hauled him off. I'm like, all right, cool. Now for the next game, we're going to go for Tell on the right. We're going to go for Xavi on the left. And now, obviously, we can't do that with Xavi's injury. And Milani's going to probably have to play for these final 4 games. So that's also really hard to take, because I did feel like finally De Zerbi saw what we've all been seeing.
Well, Zerbi said he's going to have to take him out for lunch
breakfast and dinner every day.
Every day he's going to have to give him meals to try and get him back to his best, because he's clearly lost confidence and he's lost belief in himself, and that's the situation which is leading to a lot of these. Either that, or it's this unconscious thing where he's not giving his all because he knows he's not going to be here next season.
But I felt like he was, like, for the first 5-10 minutes, he was going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and he was pressing really well and he was getting himself in good positions, and then it just all fell off a cliff.
Well, games are longer than 5-10 minutes.
I know.
They? So, you know, it's all well and good, you know, him playing well 5 minutes. But, yeah, he's had 3 managers now. None of them have been able to know what the problems are with him and how exactly to get the best out of him. Obviously, there were signs under Tudor. and there were even signs, especially in the Champions League under Frank, that he could be a good player for us. But no one's been able to get a consistent tune. Now, what we do with that, how we kind of move forward with that, we're going to have to find a way. Now, he Zerbi saying he watches YouTube, watches Y Scout to see his best positions. He's trying everything. He's going to be taking out for meals. He's going to be showing him love. He can see what a great player he is. You know, he saw clips of him at Frankfurt and what a good player he was, playing off the right-hand side as well. He said, look, at Frankfurt, he played off the right, and he was brilliant. And he was scoring goals and getting assists.
A long time ago that now, isn't it?
Well, I know, but that's what he said. He said, you know, there's a player there. How can we get that? How can we get that player back? So we're going to have to rely on him on these next 4 games, and there's no evidence to suggest that we can ever get that player for 4 games that we haven't been able to get for the past 40 or whatever 50 games we've had this season.
Yeah.
But if Zerbi is going to keep us in this league, I think he's going to need to. He's going to need to get something out.
I know, and that's the kind of thing that I find really hard about it, because there's just nothing in his performances that can suggest that he can help us get out of this thing. That's the problem.
Well, there's nothing about Tottenham that made us suggest we could stay up, and now we're 4 points in 2 and give ourselves half a chance at least.
Yeah, but we are still in the relegation zone with Villa away to come, which obviously, look, we'll get into that. But in terms of the game at half-time, like, how are you feeling at half-time? Because I was just feeling like in another day, if Spurs weren't in this predicament, I'd be like, all right, fine, 0-0 at Wolves, we go again second half. But like, I was looking at it, and me and Ash were just saying, like, we're getting worse in this game. Like, from the start to the end of the first half, it's like kind of a downward spiral, and we're getting worse and worse. Belief seems to be sapping out of this team, and I just couldn't see a way that actually Spurs were actually going to get the result.
Yeah, you know, I was getting really frustrated in that first half. Obviously, we were cheering for the team, we were singing songs, we were supporting, but there was just a clear kind of attitude of there's just nothing happening in this game. Like, we weren't creating any chances. We were getting very easily frustrated on the pitch. We weren't ever looking close to scoring in that first half. It was really difficult to see how we were going to get any goals. Obviously, we dominated possession, didn't we? And we had lots of the ball, lots of passes. That was all fine. Like, I think we actually controlled the game okay in the first half. I don't remember too many times Wolves getting near our goal.
No.
Like, unlike in the second half where they did have a few scary moments. So that was fine, and you kind of got the feeling if we can just somehow get get a goal or get basically if we can get something in our way, it's going to be very difficult for Wolves to get back in this game. But the longer the half went on, the harder it was to see us scoring. The minutes were ticking on. It was like I don't think we had a shot on target, did we, in that first half? We barely had a shot, did we? I mean, I can't remember 2 shots we had in that first half off the top of my head.
No, I think we had 3 shots or something in the first half. Not really many on target.
Milani had one. I remember Milani having one, which was well wide. Can't remember anyone else.
Yeah, there weren't many.
And
we had 5 shots, but the goalkeeper didn't force the goalkeeper into any saves or anything like that.
Yeah, and it didn't look like we were going to score. But also, it was a weird one. It was horrible, don't get me wrong. But it also had the feeling like it just need one moment.
Yeah, 100%.
And even though we're not playing well...
Wolves weren't offering anything themselves.
Even though we're not playing well, even though we're looking nervy and anxious, if we just get one moment, if we get one goal, that could be enough to win this game. And the longer that went on, even though Wolves were getting more and more in the game in the second half, like always that moment, that feeling was still there. Just one moment. Yeah,
100%. And I think Porro, defensively, I thought we did really well. I thought Van de Ven barely put a foot wrong the whole game. I thought he was so dominant in the air and on the ground. Jed Spence, he started the game pretty well down the left-hand side, causing problems, but then he waned in attacking influence. Apart from the first 5-10 minutes, he had no attacking influence for the rest of the game. But defensively, I thought, Van de Ven was doing a good job protecting his side on the left-hand side. Pedro Porro defensively did his job. Like all the defenders did their job really well defensively. Basuma was doing a good job protecting the back four. Bentancur was doing well with that composure and pulling the strings in the middle of the park, kind of running that game. But it's the attacking influence that these players have. Like Pedro Porro, I was getting so frustrated with him, with the poor crosses that he was putting in, and just so many wasted opportunities from our players. We don't have any. Like Javi as well was frustrating me. Like there was no one to take that game by the scruff of the neck and be like, look, I'm going to be the one to create a chance here. I'm going to be the one to have a shot and have a dig and put it in the back of the net. Like, our attacking play seems like non-existent.
Well, this is what I was saying before the game. It's people got to realise that Brighton game is going to be very different to this game.
Yeah, that's true.
The Brighton game, all our chances, all the positivity, all came pretty much from us pressing, from us catching them out. They were the ones in possession. We were kind of waiting for them and then going and we were forcing mistakes from pressing and stuff like that. This game we were going to have a lot of the ball. We were always going to dominate possession, and Wolves were always going to ask different questions. And as well, because they're playing a back three, it was actually always going to be a lot harder to press them because they had a lot more options in their back line to get out of trouble. And I don't remember too many. I mean, I don't want to make too many excuses, but obviously it was a very hot day. So I do wonder whether the amount of running and the pressing and how intense that press was affected by that, because we didn't seem like at all effective in our pressing. And maybe it was just because of the fact the Wolves were playing a back three and the fact that they had those more options to avoid our press, which made it a lot more difficult to force mistakes like we did against Brighton. But you look at the game against Brighton, all of our chances were forcing mistakes pretty much and pouncing on them. Wolves weren't going to allow that. They were just playing long every time. They were not allowing us to press them. They had more outs. So whenever we had to whenever we kind of had possession, we weren't finding any openings like we were against Brighton. Brighton were a lot braver in how they played against us. So in this kind of game, it was very difficult. It was very difficult to find any sort of quality. And it was very similar to Sunderland, to be honest. Very similar. Like, they just shut us out and we weren't ever looking close to scoring. And the only time we ever looked close to scoring were kind of set pieces or... there was one moment where Xavi nearly scored, wasn't he? That was our best chance.
That was Porro's best moment in the game offensively, and that was Javi's best moment in the game offensively. Like, Xavi did all the hard work, didn't he? And, just guide that ball into the bottom corner. But he couldn't do it, unfortunately. And this is what I'm saying about Pedro Porro. Has probably the best passer that we got, and he needs to be making more out of it. Like, this passing and this crossing is nowhere near to his level, in my opinion. He's capable of so much more, and you saw that with that pass to Xavi. He needs to be doing that more.
Good set pieces, though.
Yeah, they were decent set pieces. Obviously, we scored from a set piece.
Nearly scored well. Bentancur had a
header. Yeah, that was a brilliant. I mean, by the way, Bentancur, our best player once again. Like, this guy has come in and he's really added a new lease of life to this midfield. He really has. We've missed him so much more than we probably thought before the Brighton game, but he's so important to us, isn't he? It's like incredibly important to us. Like, if he gets a recurring injury now, the last 4 games, that's it. We're completely done. But he was fantastic again yesterday.
Yeah, so great to have him back. And I think he's really followed up his performances. I don't think he was as good in this one as against Brighton, but I thought he was really good.
Yeah,
I think, again,
I agree with
the middle. Although I did think Gomez and Andre at times gave us a bit of a tough time, and we struggled to really play through the middle. We were kind of focused on playing down the wide areas, it seemed, but I thought Bentancur, the shielding was brilliant. And I think on the ball just didn't do anything wrong, really. I think against Brighton he was a bit braver on the ball, to be honest, but he was fine. It was fine. It was just a difficult game, man. We all knew, like, Wolves going into this game, they've got a good home record and the pressure's off them. But I didn't feel like it was quite similar to how they played in the other games, to be fair, but against like Liverpool and Arsenal and where they weren't even that good, but I think Arsenal and Liverpool both kind of took their foot off the gas in this game. And I just think, from our point of view, for us, we just weren't good enough to really make the most of the fact that they didn't seem to that on it. I thought Wolves, they obviously they're gone, they're relegated. They're obviously trying, but they weren't playing particularly well. Like, it wasn't like they.
It was a very low quality game of football. Low quality. Yeah, extremely low.
The difference between us and the Liverpool and Arsenal games is they were much better than Wolves, and they just complacency allowed Wolves to get a result. Obviously, we won, but it was the reason why we very nearly didn't was just we weren't good enough. Like,
look, that was a 0-0 game, wasn't it? That was a 0-0 game.
I think if anyone was going to win, I would say we probably just about shaded it, but. I mean, Wolves. I mean, that second half was very even, wasn't it? Yeah. Very even.
I think with the first half, I felt like we were dominating possession. The amount of passes that we were putting together without really hurting, Wolves. I think it's probably, in terms of passing, our biggest passage of passing that we've had all season. Which is crazy. Like the amount of passes that we were putting together was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, we had...
It's like for the first time in God knows how long.
Yeah. We had a lot of passing moves, and there were some nice combinations, but I think, I've heard this about De Zerbi when, I think it was Kevin Prince Boateng was saying, when first of all, when teams come and press you, or when you're in build-up, the patterns are brilliant, and it's like really nice, and it's easy to like play, and you find those spaces, and he's unbelievable in build-up. But as soon as you get to the final third, and as soon as it's a low block, that's when the troubles come. Obviously, to be honest, that's the hardest thing in football in general, is playing as a low block. That's why teams do it, because it's very hard to break down, and it's very hard for teams to score against you. That's why every manager who picks up a side in a relegation battle, the first thing they do is they go into a low block, and they make it very difficult to score, because it is hard to score. So I don't think it's anything revolutionary to say once teams go in a low block, it's tougher to score against. So that's just natural. But I think for us, the ways you break down a low block is you either are so good with your combinations, you somehow in tight spaces open up a team inside the penalty area, even though, like Ryan Cherky, right, against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But you need that special
He's one
ability.
in a million, though, isn't he?
Or you do what Xavi did. I mean, it wasn't low block, but you do what Xavi did against Brighton. You shoot it from 25 yards, top corner. Basically, either you need individual moments of quality. You need to be like either Barca 2011, where you're just doing unbelievable tiki-taka football, or you need to be unbelievable from set pieces. Those are the only ways kind of you break down those low blocks. And that's why in that first half, as much as we had all this pretty football, at times anyway, a lot of the time I just felt like it was football because Wolves weren't really pressing us. We just allowed the ball. And as soon as we got into the final third, we offered very little.
Yeah.
And Wolves were able to contain us.
Yeah, you're right. And it'll be a different game against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And that gives me a little bit of hope going into the next 4 games. But, going into the second half, I really thought De Zerbi was going to light, me and Ash were saying it on a watch long, De Zerbi's got to light a rocket up these guys' arses. And I think we came out worse at the start of the second half than we did in the first. We really did. And then we started to get ourselves into the game. Xavi had that chance. We had that chance from a corner. And then you found out West Ham scored the goal, and you're thinking, oh my days, this is literally just going from bad to worse. There is no chance of Spurs scoring here. West Ham have scored. Spurs need to find something from somewhere. And where the hell is this goal coming from? And it's just hard to figure it out. Hard to see it, hard to envisage it. And then we got a hero, didn't we? João Palhinha. Fifth goal this season, and the catalogue of goals he's got as well this season is incredible. Obviously, the corner comes in, the shot from Richarlison, who I thought Richarlison was woeful up until that point. He was offering absolutely nothing. And then João Palhinha gambled at the back post and put the ball in the back of the net. And I just did not see that goal coming. I did not see that goal coming at all, but it came. And it came at the right time as well.
82nd minute, as you say, when maybe belief started to wane.
And you know what? I don't know if you saw my watch-along highlights, but just before that goal went in, I said on the watch-along, God, if you're listening now, please give us something. Please, just give us something. I started praying, and it came.
Then, unbelievable. You need to pray more.
I know.
You start going ashore again. Yeah, I think at that moment, as I said, like there was always that belief that one moment can win this game. And even though we never looked like scoring, obviously to be fair, from set pieces, I did think we looked quite dangerous on occasion. Like, obviously we needed to score Bentancur, as we said before. We had a couple of moments. So whenever a set piece came, there was always that little bit of belief, like anything can happen. We have been good from corners this season. So even though we haven't looked like scoring, you can just win it off a set piece, and that can be enough. So there was that little bit of excitement. And by the way, unbelievable work from Tell to win that corner. Unbelievable work from him.
He looked like he'd lost the ball, like so placidly, and then suddenly he has the ball back and he's won a corner. It was
I thought it was brilliant, like because it was going off and he somehow saves it and then turned his man and then won a corner. I thought it was brilliant work from him. He deserves a lot of credit. But as long as you're able to be a threat like we have from set pieces, it always keeps the game alive. That's kind of how Frank won a lot of his games early on. We were just playing shit, but get winning games off set pieces. So there was a little bit of kind of excitement, the fact that we got a corner, and because we looked threatening before, and then obviously it absolutely went off in the away end when we did get that goal. Unbelievable scenes. It was a great moment, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great goal. Obviously, for me, to be honest, personally, I saw that the Wolves players started to surround the referee as soon as the goal went in, and so I'm like, oh God, are they going to chalk this off?
We didn't celebrate at first.
You thought it was definitely offside?
Yeah, we didn't celebrate at first. We got up and we were like, we didn't know whether to celebrate or not. I thought it was offside. That's why you thought it was Van de Ven that scored the goal as well.
Yeah, it was hard to see down that end. Yeah, but it looked like I thought it was Van de Ven, but it ended up being Paulinho. But obviously the goal went in. But I was like, I think that it's offside here.
I thought it was going to be offside.
I was like, this is like the Wolves players are clearly incensed. Like it looked like, I mean, from my view, I couldn't really see obviously, but he was obviously free at the back post, and a lot of the times you can be like an inch over the line or whatever. So when the goal was given, massive relief for me, and then all of a sudden there was like another celebration, and then as we said before, West Ham conceded a few minutes later, which was also incredible. But yeah,
in the celebrations for us, that's the moment when Everton had that penalty shout as well. It was literally, we were celebrating the goal, and I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? He's got his hands underneath his thing and he's put the ball up like that.
Playing volleyball.
I'm like, how? How is that not a penalty?
That's ridiculous. It was
I just don't get it.
Astounding.
Like, we keep talking every week about these refereeing decisions, and everything is going against us. I'm surprised that they didn't find a way to chalk that goal off or offside, you know what I mean? And also, we didn't talk about the Basuma, the sending off of Basuma as well on Andre. He's got 2 feet, studs. Yeah, fine, it's not high, but it's a dangerous tackle, and it should have been a sending off.
Yeah, obviously, I didn't really see it in the ground. I've seen replays now.
We were incensed. Right there, right then, it should have been a sending off. I was going mad.
Yeah, that looked on the replays. I was a red, and then he got away with one again. All the decisions have been going against us. Even again this weekend, it's a ridiculous situation. And I mean, we just got to not rely on them at this point, because everything seems to be not every 50-50. Every decision seems to not be going in our favour. So what can we do about it? It's kind of just like we have to...
But it's just like, it's mental how big these decisions are and how wrong they are. Like,
and also, especially with our players, every little thing we're getting sent off for.
You know what I mean? If Romero makes that challenge that Andre did, he's probably getting a 5-game ban or something. It's crazy. And it is crazy, the double standards that are being shown right now against Tottenham.
And Xavi got sent off, and then other players do exactly the same challenge about 3 or 4 times, and nothing's given. Like, the amount of inconsistencies that have gone against Tottenham, I don't know what it is. A lot of people saying, is it unconscious bias because they want Tottenham
I think 100%.
Is it conscious bias because they've got something against Spurs, so they're actively working against us? We've just seen the panel, didn't we, yesterday on Friday, confirmed that Brian Brobby should have been sent off and wasn't. Rob Jones, by the way, same referee who the panel said got wrong with Rodri, who should have been sent off against Tottenham in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for a second yellow. It's the second time he's done that against us now. And now, I'm sure in a week's time we're going to hear the panel got this one wrong as well, that he should have been sent off. Like, the whole thing's ridiculous.
And the penalty, they'll say as well.
And the penalty, Everton. For sure, they'll say that was a mistake. Like, all these refereeing mistakes. The mad thing is, how come it's so consistently against us?
It's mad. Apparently, what Ash Batic was telling me, that on Sky Sports, on Monday Night Football, they're going to be going through all the wrong decisions against us, apparently.
Are they?
That's what Ash said. I think on Monday Night Football on Sky Sports at some day, they're going to be highlighting it.
Jesus, they're making an hour-long show on all our...
Well, they're going to be having a segment.
I'm joking.
They probably can do an hour-long show on it. That's the thing. But...
Who's going to be held accountable?
The thing is, right, I think this could actually be a really good thing for us if they do highlight it live on Sky Sports, because that's going to show them for what they are, and they actually might start giving us a few decisions in these last 4 games.
I hope so, because there needs to be a bloody panorama on it.
And Spurs need to be making more of a fuss about it. Why are we just so placidly taking this? You know what I mean? Just sitting back and not making any fuss about it whatsoever.
But the mad thing with referee inconsistencies are, like, there are inconsistencies. Some go for you and some go against you. But every single week, for other clubs and for us. They're going against us. They're going for our relegation rivals every week, and it's going against us every week. The whole thing is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, how can it be possible? We're getting penalised for pushing the back, yet people can push us in the back and no one doesn't get penalised. Romero puts a slightly high challenge, in immediate red. Same different player does it in the next week, no red. Xavi scrapes someone's ankle, immediate red. Foden does it, no red. The whole thing is absolutely insane. We haven't had one penalty this whole season. 0 penalties for Tottenham Hotspur this season. When was the last time that happened to a club? 0 penalties.
God knows.
West Ham can play volleyball in their penalty area, nothing given, and yet, we're left to pick up the pieces.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I've just never seen such one-way refereeing before in my life against a football club. I really haven't. You saw it back against when Leicester won the league. They were getting decisions, but I've never seen it so firmly against the football club so consistently over a course of a whole season as well.
And you know what? As we said before, like with how bad we are, how many injuries we've had, you just need that little bit of luck in these scenarios. Obviously, we did win yesterday, so.
But it felt like that momentum shift was actually happening yesterday when we scored. A few minutes later, West Ham conceded, and you're thinking, all right, maybe, something is going our way for once, and then even that didn't. So it's just so frustrating.
And then, by the way, in the last minute, Kinský.
Oh my day! God bless Antonin Kinský, man. You don't understand the anxiety and the stress. You probably do because you were there at the game. Like as soon as the free kick was given, I was like, oh fuck. This is just so classic Tottenham, this the rifle into the top corner. João Gomez steps up and I'm like, João Gomez never scores free kicks. Never. He hits a worldie.
Really
an absolute worldie. I'm like, where the hell has that come from João Gomez? And luckily for us, Kinský. And by the way, we've been saying it every week about Antonin Kinský, the mental strength and toughness, this guy, to come back from that Atletico shock horror when he got taken off after 15, 20 minutes, to come back and to put in the performances he has over the last 3 games is nothing short of phenomenal. And I've said it and I'll say it again, he needs to be our keeper for the rest of the season. He adds so much to us, not because he saved us yesterday, but on the ball he adds so much to us. He looks so confident in everything that he does. He has not put a hand or a foot wrong since he's been the first choice keeper in the last 3 games. He is the number 1 for me now. I don't want to see Vicario back in the team.
And if Vicario's struggling with a hernia as well, why take Kinský out when someone who needs to recover? So for me, Kinsky's been brilliant. Also bailed out Danso. Nearly gave away a goal, and Kinsky had to be the rescue again. Absolutely brilliant from him. He's also so much more assured with the ball at his feet. Like he really is. He's just so much calmer. You don't get panicked when he's playing out from the back in the same way Vicario does. And he's just been brilliant. Again, it was just like the Brighton and the Sunderland games. You have to say he didn't have that much to do in terms of how busy he was. But I think, obviously, he seems to be making more and more saves as the games go on. Sunderland, I don't think he made a single save. And then Brighton, he made 1 brilliant save. And then this time, he made a couple of really good moments. Again, set pieces, really good. Another really strong showing from him. I actually think in SofaScore gave him man of the match on the stats, but I don't know who did actually get man of the match. I don't know. Was there an official one? I don't know. But
I'm not sure. I think it might have been Paulinho. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, Kinsky had a great shout because I thought he had a phenomenal game again. And yeah, for me, he starts against Villa, no question about it.
Yeah.
He starts against Villa.
I think my man of the match, I think I gave it to Bentancur again. But yeah, Kinsky, it was a match-winning save. It was a match-winning save. That's all you got to say about it. It was fantastic, phenomenal. And that's the thing where we criticised Kinský before, we came into the team 3 weeks ago about Vicario having that over him in terms of his shot-stopping ability. But every time that's been called into question these last 3 games, he's passed with flying colours.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had too many unbelievable saves to make. I mean, again, that one was really good.
He's had like one in each game where, he's had a shot to save and... we're talking about Butterfingers here, where he's let in some real shockers.
He has. I don't think he's been asked too many questions as of yet, if I'm being completely honest. I think he's done well. Don't get me wrong. I think I've got no problem with him, and I think we're right to praise him. I don't think we should go overboard and say he's solved his problems of shot stopping just yet, because I don't think he's been asked some of the questions he was asked in the games where he conceded some goals where he shouldn't have. He hasn't been asked those same questions just yet, I would say.
The reality, yeah, fine, that's fair to say. But the reality is when Vicario's in goal, and we were trying. He just puts us under so much pressure in a lot of games, and you just don't get that with Kinský. You just don't. So I'm so happy with him. And like I said, like to come back after that Atletico Madrid game, everyone's saying Kinský's career at Spurs is done. You know, everyone's saying this guy, you know, he's a terrible keeper, he's this, he's that. And now everyone's saying, you know, he should be at number one. So
great. I mean, I'm glad he hasn't let that game against Atletico define him, like a lot of other players in similar situations where they let it affect them too much and they never truly recover. We've seen it with other keepers. So he's a young keeper, clearly got a very good head on his shoulders. So I'm delighted for him, and I really hope he just continues and gets a run from now to the end of the season and keeps going. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.